In this episode, we make a cool transformer connection to the building, start filling out and detailing the interior, and add a bit of decoration outside. So stick around and find out how. Before we jump in, Virtual Shifty had a great suggestion to honor Chicken Man from the first episode with some of our own chickens, so here they are. What should we name them? Put your ideas down in the comments. I mean, I'm sure Chicken Man was overreacting. They're so cute and adorable. They would never hurt anyone. Alright, welcome back to my Appalachia Radio build series. This is, I think, episode 4. And before I get started, I just want to say thanks to everyone who's been watching and liking so far. Really appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, please consider giving a like or, hit the subscribe button, all that kind of fun stuff. It'll really help the channel and, you'll get some pretty cool content out of it. So with that being said, last episode we installed some of the radio dishes here and did a little bit of work on the building as well. To kind of start decorating and putting in a little bit of details. So today's episode, what I want to do is I want to figure out exactly how to get power over to the building and then start kind of planning out the interior as well and deciding kind of how I want that to look. So without further ado, let's go. So right now I have this line going over to the building, but it's just got a conduit there. And, it's fine, but I think we could do better than that. And I did put up this conduit before, or I should say, sorry, I keep saying conduit, but that's like a power connector. I put up this conduit before, and I wasn't like super happy about it initially, and I played around with a couple ideas, but I think we're gonna just remove this for now, because I don't think we actually need it. Come on. Plus it'll save us some budget. Ooh, no, not that. No. These things can be really finicky. Just love jumping. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to move this over here, but I want to make it look like it's an actual, like, connection to the building. Like it's almost like a little transformer thing. Does that make sense? And so I have a couple of ideas. So what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to remove that. And I'm going to change this to a wooden basic wall. And the reason I'm doing that is because when I burn it, there's not going to be anything kind of on the interior of it. So nothing will... nothing will be impacted, what we're putting in there won't be impacted by the actual doorway, if that makes sense, or the wall. So here, I'll just show you. So I can put this radio anywhere in here and it's fine because it doesn't think that there's a wall there. So what I want to do is, let's see, the old-timey telephone was kind of perfect for what I needed, but the little dangly cord thing was just kind of bugging me, so I might come back to it later. We'll see. After digging through the build menu for a while, I came across these little kind of mini houses that I think we got from a couple seasons ago or last season, I forget. But it would work really well as a little kind of transformer thing. So I'm going to merge that down into a pyrotechnic kit, and that will allow me to kind of easily connect it to the pylon. I was initially going to levitate it using the Nuka-Cola trinket like I normally do, but for some reason the Nuka-Cola trinket doesn't really work well when there's a wall that's been fire trapped. It doesn't really want to sit in the groove. So I ended up actually using a snow globe, which actually fits perfectly within that little groove, and there's no issues. So I'm using that instead. So before moving on, you just want to check that everything looks good and it's aligned properly and that it actually connects to the pylon. Beautiful. Actually, so for that one. It's perfect. Unfortunately, the pyrotechnic kit doesn't really count as a power connector, so I need to add in a power connector so I can actually power the building. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm going to put just a regular power connector, a roof one, kind of underneath the pyrotechnic kit, and that should work fairly well. The power connector is fairly exposed though, so I'm going to add in one of these lights to kind of minimize that a little bit. Alright, next I want to add in just a little bit of detail. So the pylon itself is kind of just exposed right now. It's just kind of like sticking through the roof, but I'm going to use one of these floor safes to kind of give it a little girth, I guess, at the base, so that it looks like it's not just kind of like sticking up through the ceiling, like it's actually kind of like part of the building, if that makes any sense. Alright, now we're finally getting started on the actual inside of the building. So my initial thought process for this was to have 3 rooms, so 2 at the back and then 1 main room, kind of like the entryway. One part of the back room was going to be kind of the main studio space. The other room was going to be kind of like a repurposed office that's been turned into a bedroom. And then the main area is going to be kind of like an entryway office space kind of living area that Julie had kind of transformed into her living space as she's been kind of living here and working on the station. So that's kind of the idea. If you want to use wallpaper at all, it's best to double up your walls, at least on the inside. The best way to do that is to use the metal walls. They can snap back to front. And there's other sets too from the item shop that can do this, but it's easy. I mean, everyone usually has the metal walls anyway, so it's really just easy to use those. And then once you have them in, you can just swap them out for whatever. So here I am, I'm just kind of like swapping them in and out to find, the layout that I want. When I was initially kind of thinking of this, I wanted to have a full glass wall with maybe like a little quarter of it at the bottom, like a different material, like maybe wood or something, but I couldn't really make it work. So what I ended up doing instead is I'm going to stick with the brick set and just use windows, because I really, like when you enter, I really want you to be able to see into the studio, and because I think that could be really impactful, and so that's kind of the idea. Alright, so now the fun part begins. So I'm going to start kind of playing around with different ideas of how to build out the studio, and that starts with kind of these modules or these consoles. And so I'm going to play around with a lot of different ideas here. Some may work, some may not, but it's fun either way. I know I want this to be a separate room, so I'm just going to add in the wall now so I know kind of what I'm dealing with and how much space I have. When you're putting a room like this together, definitely mix up the consoles and even try different colors. I'm going to add a couple different colors here just because I love the way it looks. It's almost kind of like Julie went out and grabbed extras from wherever she could to kind of cobble it together, you know. Now that I have the general layout for the studio, I'm going to start kind of filling out some of the other space. So in the bedroom here, I'm just going to plan out like what kind of bed I want. So I know we're talking about Julie here. So like what kind of bed would she have, or what could she like find around to drag back here? Because initially there wouldn't really be a bed here, would there be, you know? I decided to go with the dark gray wallpaper here. I think it's going to look really cool. I have some ideas for like how to decorate and make it really kind of glow and pop. So really looking forward to kind of putting it all together. This is a radio station after all, so I need to give her a microphone, and so I'm going to use one of those defensive noisemaker things. I forget what they're called, but I'm going to merge it down into one of the consoles. I don't know if I'm going to keep this or not. I kind of want to use the Raider Punks table. So I don't know. We'll see. I kind of don't want him around here. So I'm trying to think of kind of other things I can use. I'm just going to merge this trap down into the console. It's not really, I'm not going to power it or anything. I just want it for the vibes, basically. The piece de resistance for the studio is going to be this banging file cabinet. At a certain point in every one of my builds, I slap down like all the workbenches and stuff that I want to use and the versions of them that I want to use. So I can start kind of getting a mental inventory of like everything that I need to place and like start thinking about where I want to place them. This sometimes takes me a while, actually. Like, I thought a lot about this stove. Like, where would she cook? Like, what would she eat? Like, would she have a grill outside? Would she have a repurposed stove? Like, I don't know. Like, I think a lot about this kind of stuff. Just going to finish plopping down some stuff that I don't really need right now, but I know I'm going to want in the future, just so I can, again, kind of make a mental inventory of it all. All right, we're going to head back inside, and I'm going to play around a little bit with the layout of the main room. I know I want a desk and like a couch, living room area sort of thing. And so I'm going to play around with it a little bit, and I'm going to try to remember back to, when I visited K-Max before. There's, a couple shelves, like metal shelves, if I remember correctly, and a couple of the things that I want to include here. So I'm just trying to keep all that kind of stuff in mind as I progress. Once I start placing down my workbenches, my work style tends to get a little bit more schizophrenic, for lack of a better term. So you might kind of see me jumping around and doing different things like inside and outside. But basically, for the most part, it's me, like as I'm kind of meandering through and placing things down, I'll see something out of the corner of my eye that I'm like, oh, I should do that, or I should play around with this. And so it actually kind of helps me when I'm building so that I'm not just stuck on one thing. This is a really old trick, but a really good one. So just merge down the Tinker workbench down into that stash box, and it fits perfectly. It looks great, good for any occasion, so to speak. I kind of debated even having workbenches here. I know I wanted the Tinker workbench, but the weapons workbench I think is also a little crucial. I would figure Julie's probably packing a little bit, but I debated on the armor one too, but I think I did place one. But I won't have a power armor workbench, for example. The brewing station though, I think that actually fits really well here, especially this new version of it that we got, I think, last season. Can't remember exactly, but I think it fits really well here, and it's going to go good with like her garden. So I'm going to just place it over by the side of the building right now, and then we'll kind of go from there. I ultimately decided to put the cooking stove on the porch, basically, but I wanted to nestle it back into the stone wall so that all of the pipes weren't really that exposed. But burning the stone wall doesn't work, so what you have to do is remove the stone wall, then use a rug to move the stove a little bit further back, burn the stove, and then replace the stone wall. Before finishing up though, I'm just going to add one of those little pieces of fire to the stove just to kind of add a little bit of immersion. All right, now for some reason I'm gonna start just going into the flooring. So I think flooring is actually pretty important, and it's often overlooked by a lot of people. If you get the flooring wrong in your camp, it can really make it look weird. Here I want to go for obviously like realism, so this is kind of like an old radio station, so there's probably not going to be like, I don't know, like some crazy floors, right? So it's going to be really basic. I'm going to maybe try to mix in like some rug or carpet, and some stone, but we'll see. I can already tell I'm not entirely happy with what I came up with, so I'm probably going to play around with it a little bit later. But one thing you can also do, even if you're using carpet, definitely put down rugs. Rugs can really help kind of break up some of the color or the patterns, so don't be shy about those either. I almost never use this flower rug just because I've never really had a good camp for it, but it actually kind of makes sense here, so I'm going to use it. I'm going to put the bed on it and merge it down just slightly so that the bed isn't just kind of like floating on top of it. I remembered that the brick walls have this kind of really cool broken look when they're destroyed, so I'm going to play around with it a little bit and see if I can get kind of a cool look inside because, like I said before, Julie came in and just kind of fixed this place up, but it's probably likely that there's still a little bit of work to be done. I want to put vines on the exterior wall facing the garden because I want it to kind of seem a little overgrown. I can't do that though because the roof is offset and it's kind of poking out, so I need to destroy the roof so I can add it to the wall. Alright, I've talked quite a bit this episode, so I'm just going to let you enjoy the vibes for the next couple minutes while I decorate.
All right, one thing I didn't end up using, but I did want to show you was this. I tried making kind of like a clothesline type thing, and I played around with some different ideas, but the pit banners will actually snap to those theater stances that we got recently, and I just thought that was kind of cool, and if you want to use that, go ahead. All right, I think that'll do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed getting to see some of my decoration process, but there's still so much to do and a lot of camp budget left, so hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. I'll see you soon.